Omni Kittens. This is Omni Dog's Vault. I'm Omni Dog. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm joined on Baturdays in the Batcave talking about Batman with Taylor Brown. Taylor, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well, Jess. How's everybody doing today? We're really excited for this latest show, Baturdays in the Batcave, where we actually are going to be interacting with you and also going off the poll that we put up in the Omnibus page a couple of days ago about our most wanted Batman collected editions. So thank you to everyone who voted. We appreciate your feedback, and we're really excited about this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of there doesn't, when I look across my shelf at my Marvel shelf, I see a lot of Wolverine books, X-Men books, and behind me in the paperbacks I see crazy amount of X-Men books and stuff. But my Batman shelf, and I feel like I have a well-represented amount of Batman, doesn't have a lot of Batman trade paperbacks. And then I look at my Batman Omni shelf, not counting the Golden Age Omnis. There's not a lot of Batman Omnis. And as far as oversized hardcovers, there's just the Rebirth oversized hardcovers, and I don't know, maybe a few other hardcovers mixed in with my other things.
Right.
It seems there's woefully little collected of so many classic stories of Batman that it's almost a crime when you think about it. There should be a lot more collected. Now, I will say there are all those Tales of the Batman and Tales of the Dark Knight, but those are kind of creator focused, not story focused.
Right. I usually don't love those volumes as much when they're centered around a creator.
Right.
Sometimes, because a lot of times they're out of order and they're not really a whole storyline.
Right. I tended to collect those because of the art. Like, I like Jim Aparo. I love Carmine Infantino. I like J.H. Williams. I collected those because I like the artists. But it's really a mixed bag. There doesn't seem to be any well, this is DC. There doesn't seem to be any cohesive strategy when it comes to Batman. He's such a popular character. You'd think they would. Well,
here's an example, Jess, that we were talking about recently of how DC doesn't really think things through. The way they collected metal, because they had a oversized deluxe of the main story. They had a hardcover of Road to Metal, which was standard size of some like the stuff with the other Batman from the evil dimension, from the dark dimension, and then they have a trade paperback. There's one deluxe, two standard size hardcovers, and one paperback. Like, what are you doing? Just publish them in the same exact format. You don't have to have all these different formats for one series.
I don't know that they think like fans, or I don't know. I don't know that they think fans care.
I think the best that they've done with Batman with their collected editions is absolutes. They've really focused a lot of energy on Batman absolutes. Not as much in recent memory, but like Hush, they had Haunted Night and Dark Victory.
Right.
Long Halloween. They had some of Grant Morrison's series.
Right.
A lot of these things are abandoned, like Court of Owls. Like, there's no point even having that because they're never going to complete it. Because now they're going to the omnibus format.
Are they, though?
I want
to see volume.
Don't sell your Scott Snyder books yet until it actually comes out.
Yeah. I ain't buying volume 1 of that Omni until I see volume 2. I'm holding on to my standard hardcovers.
I definitely don't. I don't judge you for that. That's probably a good idea. You just never know what they're going to do.
Especially with Justice League New 52.
The thing about DC is that they have a lot less Omnis than Marvel does. Marvel just totally kicks their butt in that department. There really aren't that many Batman Omnis when you think about it, like you already said. Which is crazy because he is the most popular comic book character of all time.
Right.
And I think he has the least representation sometimes with the Omnis, which is weird.
Yeah, he is. He does have a lot of absolutes. But one thing I was disappointed in the poll that I was kind of hoping for, I don't know if maybe I didn't word it properly, but I wanted to know if there were any stories that weren't represented at all in trades. But nobody really responded that way. And I had my knowledge of maybe the Bronze Age through the early 1900s. I'm not that old.
Wow,
I know
Jeff.
a lot of people like to think that. 1990s, or maybe 18. That's right. 1980s, mid 1980s. The Bronze Age through the mid 1980s is pretty sketchy, and I was hoping there were some stories in there that people felt needed a trade paperback at least, but I didn't hear any of that in the poll.
Can I tell you one book that I would like to see that has never been collected?
Yes.
I'll start with that. That was going to be at the bottom of the barrel for me because I wanted to get through a lot of the bigger options. But just to go along with what you're saying, there is a storyline by Ed Brubaker that was never collected in any format, and that is his Detective Comics run 777 through 782, and it's a storyline called Dead Reckoning. And I just read it a couple days ago. My friend let me borrow some of his single issues, and they all have Tim Sale covers.
Cool.
So I just read this. It was a decent storyline. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but I thought it was solid. And I'm really hoping they collect those issues with his other detective issues, which was the Maid of Wood storyline. Do you remember that with Alan Scott?
Oh, yeah.
They collected that in the Man Who Laughs trade paperback, which is pretty random. I don't know why they did that because it had nothing to do with that storyline. But I would almost like to see a Detective by Ed Brubaker deluxe.
Yeah.
And it would include these 6 issues I just mentioned, and the Maid of Wood issues. That would be a 9-issue deluxe, or maybe even a trade paperback. I think that'd be really interesting just to have that whole detective run by Brubaker in one format. And even though I don't think it was the best story by Brubaker, I want to have everything he's done collected because he's in my top 3 favorite writers.
Oh, yeah. I think he's my number 1 favorite writer. Let me give this question a quick no. First of all,
someone did put that in the poll, even though it's already collected.
It's already collected, so it doesn't need to be collected. It's collected several ways, and no, I hated that story.
And so this Dead Reckoning storyline, I think was really overlooked because it was going on the same time as Hush. I think Hush just steamrolled it.
Yeah, okay.
It would be like a really small budget movie coming out the same weekend as Avengers. It's going to get destroyed. Like no one's going to notice it. You know what I mean? And the art wasn't like amazing. I remember hearing Brubaker say that the artist he was paired with, Tom Castillo, was brand new, and he was so nervous to do this run. Like he was like really nervous to get in the big leagues, and some mistakes were kind of made. He said he's proud of the storyline, even though the art and his script didn't really totally come together in the way he wanted. But I would still like to see his detective issues collected in the deluxe down the line.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. I wanted to address that question. Let's start with the top vote getter.
All right. So before I get into this, I just want to say that mapping out books is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And this gave me a newfound respect for Marvel and DC. As much crap as we want to give them and the mistakes that they make, it is challenging trying to figure out how to put these collected editions together. And I think I really realized that after doing this over the past week. And so the other thing is that mapping out books is subjective. You may disagree with the way I map out certain books, and that's fine. You can put in the comments how you would like to have certain books collected and in what format. But I'm just going off of my personal opinion and what I think would be the best way to collect these. And if I miss any issues, I'm sorry. There's a lot of different books we're going over, but I'll try my best. All right, so number 1 with 38 votes was Paul Dini's Batman work. So his detective run and his Streets of Gotham run. That was number 1 by far. And have you read those yet, Jess?
I haven't.
I don't want to talk too much about this series because we just talked about it about a month or 2 ago in our first episode, Overrated and Underrated Books. So if you want to hear more about this run, go back to that first video. So I'm not the kind of person that loves these huge behemoth phone book size omnibuses because they're hard to read and the binding isn't always the best. Do you agree with me on that, Jess? Or what do you think about that?
If it comes down to it, I'd rather have them split in two. Yeah.
Right. I think I just get intimidated by Omnis sometimes. They're too big. I'll just be like, I really want to read that, but that's so big. But if I see a smaller one, I'm much more apt to tackle it and try to finish it.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel personally. And I know some people love like the backbreaker ones. They're like big door stops. Like that's up to you. That's fine. But I decided to break up Paul Dini's runs into 2 Omnis. Okay. So the first Omni would contain his Detective Comics run. And right now, that's collected in these 4 trade paperbacks. There's Batman Private Casebook, which I talked about last time on our video about overrated and underrated books. There is his Batman Heart of Hush, which I think is even better than Hush itself. There's also Batman Detective and Batman Death in the City. Now, the hard thing is that the only book out of these 4 that's even in print right now is Batman Heart of Hush. So it's really challenging to collect Paul Dini's Batman run right now. So for this Omni, it would contain Detective Comics 821 through 824, 826 through 828, 831, then 833 to 834, 837, and then 840 through 850. So that would be 22 issues. So it wouldn't be a massive omnibus. I think they could price it at $75. I would kind of view this Omni as almost like a Super Sons or a Dark Side War omnibus, where they're small, but they're not so small you feel ripped off.
Okay.
Like the Young Avengers omnibus. I know a lot of people complained about that because it's so slight. There's some omnis where they'll even charge $100, like the Matt Fraction Hawkeye omnibus. That should not have been $100. That should have been $75 because of its short length. So I would collect those issues together, and I took out all of the issues that weren't written by Dini that were included in these 2 trade paperbacks because I don't think they're really important for the overall story, and they're not nearly as good as the ones that he wrote. I think they were trying to fill these 2 trade paperbacks. They just put in some other detective issues that were around his run to be able to fill them out a little bit, but they're not really needed. So I decided to take those out. And I also took out the 2 issues that he contributed to the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul because I hate issues that are ripped out of context.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't make any sense. Like whenever you're reading the current Batman run by Tom King and Deluxe in the first one, you run into that random Monster Men storyline.
Oh, yeah. That drove me crazy.
Right. So if you want to read Monster Men, you either have to go out and buy the hardcover, the trade paperback, or read it over across the Batman Deluxe, the Detective Deluxe, and the Nightwing Deluxe. I don't want to do that.
No.
That is really annoying to me. So I don't want to include 2 random issues in here that don't have a conclusion. So I decided to take those out. And I
Taylor's looking out for you. In his mapping, he's a fan, so he's looking out for you. He's not looking to stick random things in those books.
And yeah, I just don't think it's really worth it. I just don't see why. And the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, it's not really that great anyway. So I don't really see the purpose of it, to be honest. So that's what I decided to do for that first Omni. And the second Omni would collect his Streets of Gotham run. And so I think, Jess, you just got one of these in, didn't you? Because you just got...
Let's see which one I got in.
So this one's Hush Money. This is Volume 1. Leviathan, Volume 2. And
I think I got that one in.
Okay. And I want to give a quick shout out to Thomas Martitelli. I think is how you say his last name. He sent me these books for just shipping. So thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that.
Those are out of print, aren't they?
Yeah, and it was really nice of him. He just said, I'll charge you shipping. I think it was $4 or something, or $3. It was
That
nothing.
is super nice of him.
Yeah,
Shout out.
He's a super nice guy. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it because I had to read that run via my library, which is still a good option, but I want to own them because I love Dini so much.
Yeah.
So that would be its own omnibus. But I would also put in Detective Comics 852 and Batman 685 before that series. Those 2 issues would come first because they're kind of a prelude to Streets of Gotham. They're kind of like a ramp up to that whole storyline.
Okay.
So I would include those 2 issues as well. So I'm really hoping that somehow DC will find this video and get on these omnis as soon as possible because it's a crime that they're out of print. These are some of the best Batman stories that most people don't know about. They haven't been able to read because they've been out of print for so long. In my opinion, Paul Dini is one of my top 5 favorite Batman writers, solely because he wrote most of the great episodes of Batman the Animated Series. which you'll find out soon as you're watching through it. But he has some of the best episodes, like Heart of Ice with Mr. Freeze. He pretty much gave Mr. Freeze his origin, and they stole it for the comics. Right. He's done so many great things. He created Harley Quinn. So for that alone, Jess, he should be one of your favorite Batman writers. He changed your life forever.
He actually did.
He really did. So
what would I be without Harley Quinn?
I don't know.
I'd be a sad old man. That's what I'd be.
I still can't believe you're not going to get that life-size statue.
You know those things are sold out.
Wasn't it like $5,000 or something?
Yeah, they're sold out.
Do you ever wonder who these people are who are able to buy these kind of things?
I try not to think of it.
Like sometimes I look at my shelves and I look at people's shelves on the Omnibus group, and I'm like, man, they must have like much better jobs than I do.
Well, I don't mind the idea that somebody has the money. It's the idea that somebody wants a life-size Harley Quinn in their house.
I don't want to get into that. I don't know why you really want that, but
yeah, no, me either.
Let's not get into that too much. But anyway, he created one of your favorite character, right?
Absolutely.
Your favorite?
She is my fave.
He has added so much to Batman, and I think these Batman issues are amazing. And I want to show you one in particular that it's one of my favorite Joker stories. And Jess, you'll find this out as you read it soon. Let me see if I can find it in here. Okay, so it's Christmas time, and Joker kidnaps Tim Drake, Robin, and he's tying him up with Christmas lights in his back seat and just driving him around. It's such a fun storyline. And my favorite part is when Joker pulls up to a McDonald's or a Wendy's or something like that, and he keeps like rushing through his order and everything and yelling at the person at the register. He's like, well, I want to talk to your manager. And the manager comes up to the window and the Joker just shoots him and pulls away. I just love that storyline. It was a really fun idea, a really fun issue. And Paul Dini knows how to write the Joker really well.
Yeah.
He knows how to write a funny Joker because he did Mad Love. He did a lot of the best Joker episodes on Batman, the animated series. Like I love on Mad Love whenever Harley's trying to prove her love to the Joker and she has Batman tied up on top of a piranha tank. Do you remember that?
No, I only saw each episode once back when it was.
Did you ever read the book, Mad Love?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So he has Batman tied up on top of a piranha tank. She calls the Joker to tell him. He's like on the phone, oh yeah, Batman, eh? Okay, cool. Wait, you have who tied up where? I just love that part where he just knows how to draw the joke, how to write the Joker. He knows how to make him funny, but also creepy and scary at the same time. Like the Joker will just turn on a dime.
Which is what's scary about him.
Right. He'll go from 0 to 100. Just all of a sudden he's laughing and joking just to being murderous and just freaking out on everybody. And he knows how to really tap into that really well. So I'm sorry to say that these books are really hard to find, some of these, and as well the Street of Gotham. But if you can find them somehow on the secondary market, on eBay, on Amazon, try to pick them up. I'm really hoping that DC does a series of omnis or maybe even an omnibus. I'd be perfectly fine with an omnibus of both these runs. I would prefer two, but I would take one. So I'm really hoping that DC does that. And I do kind of have hope because they canceled that Hush omnibus last year. And Heart of Hush was going to be included in that. So maybe one day down the road, they will do a Dini omnibus or a series of omnis.
Well, Gabe's boss at Torpedo Comics is best friends with Jim Lee, so maybe somehow I can get word to Jim Lee through Gabe to do a Dini omnibus.
That'd be great. My biggest hope is that we'll become DC's Omar, like how he is with Marvel.
It seems like it's not even real life that Omar is Omar with Marvel, but I think
he knows so much though. It's crazy how much he knows.
Yeah.
Four of his comic book room is like 2 hours long. And I was like, this is like a museum or a library or something. This is insane. And he's only like 40 years old or something.
Omar has an unbelievable encyclopedic knowledge of not only Marvel, but DC too. Right. But I don't know, that was a case of Marvel being open-minded and reaching out. And I think DC is too insular to reach out to a fan to get a fan's perspective. It's possible.
Yeah. It
because,
just seems like the wise decision to make. Why don't you talk to the people you're selling your books to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like movies, they have test screenings and things like that to see if people actually like it or not. Why don't they talk to people like you, people like Omar, Gabe, Riley, people who've been fans for a long time and know what people want? We know what people want more than DC does because we're on the group.
Absolutely.
I think every collected editions department for any comic book company, Boom, Image, DC, Marvel, they should be on our Facebook group. They need to be. They would get so much wisdom just from being on our group for a day or two.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these places, I mean, all of these places, except now for Marvel, because Omar's telling them, they don't even know these books are out of print. I can almost guarantee you DC does not know those Paul Dini books are out of print and going for the high prices they are on eBay and Amazon.
Right, because I think that didn't Gabe tell someone at Boom about Irredeemable?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you kidding? It's going for that much?"
Yeah.
They're missing out on a lot of money. They really are.
Well, and they're not doing any major service to their fans either. I mean, the idea is to get books into the hands of the fans. And I mean, just give me 3 hours with the guys at DC and I could just I could just smooth things over with them and just say, listen, guys, people actually do care what the spines of their books look like. I know you don't think they do, but people actually do care what the spines look like. And by the way, that question omnibus, get it going right away. And nobody cares
collecting Watchmen for the 20 millionth time.
Yeah, nobody
cares
Watchmen
anymore.
Nobody cares about Watchmen. The Hitman's greatest hits? No. We want a Hitman omnibus. That's what we want. So I just 3 hours with them. I'll pay for lunch. I'll take those two to lunch.
What do you think was the biggest upset whenever they canceled a bunch of stuff last year? Would you say it was the Hush omnibus?
I feel like more people were upset about those Kyle Rayner trades.
Oh yeah, you're right. Those like
people were very upset about those Kyle Rayner trades getting canceled.
It's like they're like Tobias Funke on Arrested Development. There are dozens of us.
There are dozens of us.
Never nudes.
Never nudes. People were upset about that. Yeah, people were upset about that Hush Omni getting canceled.
Oh yeah. For sure. I mean, Hush has been collected in a lot of different ways, but I think they wanted all the ancillary titles with it as well, all in one spot.
Yeah, I didn't feel passionately about it, so I can't really say.
And you know my thoughts on Hush, so I'm not gonna get into that too much. I think it's a good story that's overrated. So I wasn't too bummed out about that because I wasn't gonna buy it anyway. But for those of you who wanted to buy it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it's overrated. I don't think it's underrated. I think it's rated.
All right.
That's how I feel about it.
Right.
And also, I want to put in a plug for Jonah Hex omnibuses, New 52 and pre-New 52. Those things need omnis, which I'm hoping the Bronze Age Jonah Hex sells.
I saw someone in the chat say that you should be the head of DC Collected Editions. I second that.
Oh, your lives would change in ways you can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your lives would be wonderful.
If you were the head of any comic book company, probably our lives would change.
Well, if I there would be so many wonderful books coming out of DC if I was in charge.
If you worked at DC, you would officially banish Cacophony from their archives. That and Winding Gyre, you would get like a big trash barrel and throw them all in and get some lighter fluid. And
I'd say we're letting Cacophony and Winding Gyre go out of print, and that's it forever.
You'd be like the Joker in Dark Knight, lighting up that big pile of money. I'm a new class of president for collected editions.
Oh my gosh, you'd see a lot more Zatanna. You'd see a lot more Jonah Hex Hitman. Oh my gosh, I'd give you more Spectre. Holy guacamole. And I wouldn't interfere with anything Tom King was doing. And don't anybody spoil what's going on in Tom King's Batman 77 because I haven't read it. Don't you dare say anything.
I won't say anything though, Jess. Do you hear about his new series though?
The one on Adam Strange.
Yes.
I just
That'll be good. It's going to be a tag team artists of Mitch Gerrits and Doc Shaner.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
That's going to be really. It's going to be another maxi series, which Tom King does best. Those 12-issue maxi series that he loves to do, like Sheriff of Babylon, Mr. Miracle, The Vision. So that'd be great. And actually, this kind of ties into our second choice because there's a character from our second choice that I would love to see Tom King doing a 12-issue maxi series.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
So let's go into this. So our second choice with 34 votes was a Catwoman Omnibus by Ed Brubaker. And so I just read the first trade of this, The Trail of the Catwoman, on Hoopla this past week, and that was so good. I was blown away by how much I liked it. I've really started to really develop a lot of affection for Selena Kyle as a character.
Yeah.
As a young boy, like I didn't really like Catwoman that much. And to be honest, they didn't do very well with her in the animated series. That was one character they couldn't nail down. They kept presenting different versions of her that never really gelled with the comics. And I really like the way she's portrayed in this book.
Book one is especially good because it's Darwin Cook and Ed Brubaker, and it's hard to get better than that.
Right. And so I would include in this Omni, it would be Selena's Big Score by Darwin Cook, which is a great miniseries. Do you remember that miniseries? That was
great. It signed by Darwin.
And that would include backup stories from Detective 759 to 752. I must have messed that up. I'm sorry. But the backup stories from Detective Comics, I think it's 759 to 762. I'm sorry, I had a typo there. And then there's Catwoman 1 through 37 and Catwoman Secret Files #1. So that would be a 38 issues, several backup stories, and one miniseries. So this would probably be an Omni that's pretty heavy, pretty hefty. It would probably be over 1,000 pages. But I just really love this book because it's Ed Brubaker doing what he does best, which is hard-hitting crime stories with flawed yet compelling characters. And I really enjoy how Selena is trying to change herself in this run. She wants to be less selfish. She wants to be more of a hero. And she wants to help people who Batman maybe even ignores sometimes, like prostitutes, homeless people, drug addicts. She wants to look out for those who are not being looked after by society. And that's her main mission in this series. What did you think about the whole series as well, Jess?
I loved books 1 and 2. And then in 3, there was a little bit of a drop off in 3.
That's what I heard. I saw Faria's review a couple months ago or a month ago, and she gave the first 2 like a 10 out of 10. Then she gave the third trade like a 2 out of 10.
Well, first of all, you can't trust Faria. She hates everything I love. So
I also heard other people in the comments also say it wasn't as good.
There's a change in writers that happens.
Oh, writers, really?
Well, I think. Wait a sec. Does Brubaker write the whole thing?
I thought so.
Oh, okay.
Darwin Cook does
he does.
Because Darwin Cook writes and draws that miniseries, Selena's Big Score, and then he does the first 4 issues of the Catwoman run. But I don't think he comes back after that.
No, you're right. Yeah. I don't know. There was something just a little off tone. This is volume 3. I don't know. There was something just a little I don't know that I give it a 2 out of 10. I was thinking more, the first 2 were like 10s out of 10. And then I was thinking this was more like maybe 7 out of 10. I don't know that I'd be so harsh as to give it a 2 out of 10.
Ria's usually either a green light or a red light.
Yeah, there's very rarely middle ground with her, and I understand that. That's the way she thinks. She's an engineer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say there's a drop off in this, and it's I'd have to read it again to explain what exactly the drop off is. I haven't read it in a while. But it's it would be a solid omnibus.
Oh yeah, and my favorite character in this story was Slam Bradley.
I know.
I've never heard of him before.
He was in Action Comics before Superman was.
Really?
Yeah, that's who Action Comics had not Action. I mean, he was in Slam Bradley was in Action #1 with Superman. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I just love Slam Bradley because my favorite genre is crime, and I love private detective novels like Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, stuff like even newer stuff. And I just love PIs. That's why I like Scene of the Crime. That's why I like Stumptown. I love PI stories, and I think he checks all the boxes for a good PI. He always gets beat up. A guy who's trying to do his best but constantly messes up. And he's on Catwoman's trail in the beginning of the story, but he ends up falling for her like most guys do.
Yeah.
And I think that he would be a great central character in a Tom King 12-issue maxi series.
Yeah, I think that Darwin Cook was the guy that brought him back. I don't think anybody even paid attention to him since 1940. So he's the one that brought him back from obscurity, when he appeared in Action #1.
Right.
If that's where he appeared, he may have appeared earlier in DC history. I don't know. We can look that up. But here's the other thing about Catwoman. This, I don't know if it's in print now, but for the longest time, #2 was out of print. So
I think it still is.
It's still out of print?
Yeah, because I looked on Amazon to see how expensive they would be to get.
Yeah.
I think the first one is still available, but it's not cheap. It's like almost like full price. And then I think the second one's out of print. Let me check on Amazon real quick.
Yeah, this has been out of print a long time, so I bet it's really expensive.
Amazon is my gauge for if something's out of print. If Amazon doesn't have it, then nobody does. Okay, so volume 1 and 3 are still in print. You can get volume 1 for $24.73, volume 2 for $22.14, and the second one is out of print.
And how much are they? What's the lowest price they're asking?
Let me look. All I'm seeing is Comixology, and like or digital. I'm not seeing any print. Let me check. All they have listed is the Comixology Kindle edition for. I'll have to do some more digging. There might be another way to find it.
Wait a second. Let me see. Catwoman.
Okay, wait, I think I found it. Okay, so $50.
50? That's cheap. Catwoman Volume 2, $50. Yeah. One used from $50. That means there's more options here. Kindle and Comixology. Interesting.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing where it just says $50? Or it just says Kindle and Comixology?
That's interesting. There's only one choice, and it's used.
So if anybody knows of a way for me to get that cheaper, let me know, because I want to get this series. I'll read it digitally. I'll read on Hoopla if I have to, but I would like to get them in my collection. Because
you might want to try eBay. It might be more reasonable on eBay.
Right. I'll be content with reading it digitally for now, but I would like to include it in my Batman collection because obviously I love Batman and I love Ed Brubaker, and I want to have everything Ed Brubaker writes besides Deadly Genesis, I think it's called.
Yeah, that I poured root beer on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now wait a sec. $50 is cheap. It's all relative. Blue G. I'm not saying it's cheap. It's been out of print for 4 or 5 years. It was a $25 book, so I was thinking it was going to be more like $80 or $90. So it's cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I don't mean $50 is cheap. I wouldn't pay $50 for it. I'm just saying it's all in context.
I'll never pay more than cover. I'll never pay more than cover for anything. That's just my own personal conviction. You just never know what'll get reprinted anymore. I'd rather wait.
Okay, when I take over DC Collected Editions, I'll make sure that gets reprinted first.
All right, thanks, Jess. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping. So we've been talking about Ed Brubaker a lot. What do you think is his best Batman work or Batman-related work? I think we'll have the same answer.
Brubaker?
Yeah, because he did a lot of different Batman books. He did Detective, he did Batman, he did Catwoman, he did Gotham Central.
Gotham Central.
Gotham Central is my favorite by far.
Well, there's Batman by Ed Brubaker, the 2 books, but which I like. No, I'm gonna have to say Gotham Central, but that's not really. Is that really a Batman book?
I said Catwoman. That's still a Batman-related book.
Well, that's true.
Because DC and Marvel are always separated into different offices, and there's like a Batman office, a Superman office. So I include Catwoman and
Yeah,
Gotham
no, you're
Central,
right.
like those books. Gotham Central is so good, especially that first volume or the first 2 volumes when
Well,
they had them.
if we're counting Gotham Central, then it has to be Gotham Central, and it's one of the best things Rucka has ever written too.
Yeah, I
Because
think Rucka actually had the better issues overall, even though they both did a lot of good storylines.
I didn't find either one weak. I found both
No.
the night shift and day shift equally strong.
I really enjoyed the first storyline with Mr. Freeze when they accidentally go through the wrong door and Mr. Freeze is behind it, and he kills one of the partners by freezing him and just like break him into pieces. And then there's that storyline where the Joker's like terrorizing the city with a sniper rifle. That was a great storyline as well.
Yeah.
I think they borrowed a lot from that Joker storyline for The Dark Knight. I think that was a big inspiration for them. And I'm still really bummed out that Gotham, the TV show, wasn't an adaptation of Gotham Central, because that show was terrible to me. I couldn't get to the first 5 episodes.
It could have been so much better.
Yeah. It was so bad.
There were
like it. No, I'm not trying to disparage you if you like it. I just couldn't get into it because it also ruined the age-old question of who created these monsters, Batman or themselves?
Right.
Was it Batman who created the Joker, or would the Joker have come out without Batman? And with any character. And it destroys that question of like, is Batman the one who precipitates this and makes it worse by being so theatrical and over the top, or would these people be there already without him? And that ruins that.
Right, which is what Dark Knight Returns is a lot about.
Right, and
who perpetuates whom?
Right, even the Dark Knight. Remember, Gordon talks about escalation.
Right,
like you really change things. You up the ante. That's why the Joker's here. They're hiring him to take you out because no one else can. And so, does Batman almost make things worse in a way by being there? And that's a question that shouldn't be answered by these books, but it should be posed and should give us pause to think about. Whereas Gotham's like, whatever. We'll just have Bruce Wayne be young, even though nobody wants that. It was just, I didn't enjoy that. But Gotham Central was so much better, and it would have been a great TV show.
Yeah.
That would have been like a great HBO TV show.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. All right. Do you want to move on to our third choice?
Yeah. We're done with Catwoman?
Yeah.
Would have been a good book.
Do you have any other thoughts for that?
Sorry?
Do you have any other thoughts about that book you want to share?
No, I think we said.
All right.
I loved it.
Good. All right. So number 3 with 28 votes is a story that Jess and I are not massive fans of, but a lot of you probably are, and that's No Man's Land. So, Jess, you probably picked up No Man's Land when it came out, right?
In floppy form?
In floppies back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of it when it first came out?
I thought it was okay. I mean, it was part of my reading, so I just read it. And, I mean, I treated it like I did Nightfall. It was Batman, and I read it every week or month or whatever, and it was okay.
Right.
I didn't think it was earth-shaking.
Now, did you collect all the other issues that were tied into it, or did you just collect like Batman Detective and that's it?
I forget what were the other tie-ins.
There's like Robin, there's Catwoman, there's Batman, No Man's Land, Secret Files. This random story.
If it was an event, then I collected all of them.
Okay.
And was pissed about it. That's what I hate about events, is all the tie-ins.
All right, so this is a lot of material. This was a lot of work. It was a labor of love because I don't really like this storyline that much, but I know a lot of you like it. So essentially, I'll try to explain it in the easiest way possible. That the first Omni would almost be a prelude to No Man's Land. So like these thick trades they have with like Cataclysm, Road to No Man's Land. I to be honest, I had a difficult time getting through some of these. I just think the artwork isn't really up to snuff. I just didn't really like it that much. And again, I'm not a huge fan of big events where there's multiple titles that are being pulled into one event. Again, I know it's the 90s and it was a different art style, but still, there was a lot of good artists in the 90s still. I just wasn't a huge fan. So this first Omni would be a prelude to No Man's Land of sorts, and it would include these 2 trades, and then also Road to No Man's Land number 2. So it would be Cataclysm, Road to No Man's Land volume 1 and 2. So it'd pretty much be these first 3 trades. Do you want me to go through all the issues? Because that might be tedious. Okay, good. I don't want to. Well, that worked for nothing. And then the second omnibus would be the first two trade paperbacks, those thick trades for No Man's Land.
Yeah.
And volume 3 would be the 3 and 4 trades, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they'd be 3 big omnis. It'd almost be like Nightfall, how that was collected. Wasn't that in 3 omnis?
I didn't collect them, so I don't know.
All right.
They were big, though. I know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were 3 of them, and they were all over 1,000 pages each. I think me and you were pretty much on the same wavelength with events. I wasn't a huge fan of Nightfall either. A lot of it's because of Azrael Batman. That's a conversation for another time. But the 90s was so rough for Batman because you had to buy so many comics to understand what was going on, which I don't like.
No.
Like whenever I hear about a new event at Marvel or DC, I kind of just shake my head like I don't want to buy all these different random trade paperbacks. Like for Metal, I just said I'm going to buy the deluxe and that's it. And I'll just grin and bear it. If I don't understand everything, that's fine. But the 90s was just so chock full of events after event after event. And you had to buy so many issues. Like there's Detective Comics, there's Batman, there's Shadow of the Bat, Batman Blackgate, Batman Arkham Asylum Tales of Madness, No Man's Land Secret Files and Origins, Catwoman, Batman, there's an Azrael book. Really? Batman? Like, come on. Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. There are just so many different issues coming into one story, and they don't feel cohesive. They just feel kind of like shoved in there.
Yeah, and the other thing is I think when you get that many books, I think you're spreading your talent thin. You're not getting you've got a core of talent, and then you've got your kind of outlier talent. You've got that many books. I think you're going to have weaker books when you've got that many books.
And how often are tie-ins actually important to the story? Not often.
No.
They usually just said, oh yeah, we're in No Man's Land. And they just go off into its own storyline. And it's not really tied into the main event, which bugs me.
There was only one event in the 90s that I cared about. And I don't know why I cared about it, but
the Clone Saga.
No, you can keep guessing though.
Is it Marvel or DC?
DC.
Well, I'm not sure then.
It was the only one I cared about. I actually got interviewed on television for it in my LCS at the time. Let's see if I can remember when it was.
Is this the same comic shop where he grilled you to give you that Dark Knight Returns copy?
No, that was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I was in Alexandria by this time.
Okay. So what was it?
Death and Return of Superman.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Now, for some reason, I like that event.
You like the electric blue Superman?
I kind of don't, but
you love Superman with business in the front, party in the back, mullet.
I learned to accept him.
Okay,
but I liked that they were willing to take the chance to do something different, and then there were the 4 Supermen that came in to try and take his place, and there was. I like the character of Doomsday, and I don't like the fact that he's still fighting Doomsday, which is ridiculous in Rebirth Action. That's why I don't collect Action anymore. All he does is seem to fight Doomsday and whatever other villain he seems to constantly fight.
You must have loved Batman v Superman then. With Doomsday at the end.
Oh my gosh, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
It was like a CGI from 1985.
Yeah, but for some reason, I really liked that that event. For some reason, I don't know why.
So you never know why. Let me get this straight. There is a video out there somewhere of young Omnidog on TV being interviewed.
Yeah, whenever that day was, I happened to be in there. It was the death issue where the Superman flag is flying on the cover, all tattered and torn.
Right. With the lenticular cover, right? Or like the bag. Wasn't it a bag?
I think it was in a bag.
Okay. I think yeah, you're right.
And they asked me, I think it was Channel 4 or NBC News, and they said, "How do you feel about the death of Superman?" And I said, "Superman's not dead. They're not going to kill a $1 billion franchise character like him. He's going to be coming back. We just don't know how." And I think it's an interesting transition for him, but he's not dead. And after the microphone went off, after the camera went off, she said, "I needed a sad nerd. I didn't need a rational person." And I said, "I'm sorry." She goes, then she laughed and she said, "No, it's okay. You were a good interview."
Yeah. Didn't you cry singing in your mom's basement wearing sweatpants?
Yeah, no, sorry. I just said they're not killing Superman. Just relax.
I'm going to throw down a gauntlet challenge right now for anybody. There will be a reward if you find that video of Jess as a young man. There will be a reward. I won't tell you what it is, but there will be a reward of some sort. If you
What
find
year
it,
was
post
that?
it in the group.
Was that like 1994?
Let me look. Jess, you have to find that somewhere. That'd be hilarious. Let me see. Death and Return of Superman. I'm looking at the video game. I don't want to look at that. I know it was obviously in the 90s. When was that? Can someone tell us in the chat when it was?
Yeah, when was that? I feel like it was 94.
Was Jess wearing the black armband?
Did a black armband come with the book?
I guess.
I forgot that.
Jess held his own private wake in his backyard for Superman. Let's say the death of Superman was 1992. It began.
Oh, 92.
Until 93. So this was in Alexandria, Virginia, you said?
Yeah, so it would have been, I'm guessing it was NBC, but there's, NBC, ABC, CBS. I feel like it was NBC, but I mean, gosh, how are they going to find that?
I'm just laying down the challenge. If you can find it, put it in the group, and everyone's going to thank you, and I'll give you a reward of some sort. And Kenny Crayley just helped us out. He said the death and return of Superman was 1992 to 1995.
Well, if you can narrow down the day, it was the exact day that the bagged issue with the flag of Superman, the tattered flag of Superman came out when when he was actually dead. Whatever that death day was, that's when the TV interviewer interviewed me in After Time Comics in Alexandria.
I think if someone found that post on the group would be even more popular than your disposal post. The garbage disposal. That lit the group up. Your garbage disposal.
That was an Instagram post originally that I just put up for fun, and then it went on to my personal Facebook group and my personal Facebook page, and boy, it got a lot of attention.
I was telling my wife about it yesterday. I'm like, apparently we can't put food in our disposal, and she's like, "Well, what's it for then?" I'm like, everyone in the group doesn't know either anymore. Like, what's the point?
I got a big lecture from the plumber that you're not supposed to put anything down there, and I'm like, well, why did I get it? And he said, my mom said she didn't want a garbage disposal. She just didn't even have one. And I was like, okay.
How'd you even know it was a problem? Like, what was going on?
Nothing. It backed up. The disposal still worked, but the pipe got jammed. Apparently, things go through, but the holes are super tiny in the disposal, and we put down the typical things like eggshells and potato peels and carrot peels, which you are not supposed to put down. And he said also oatmeal and rice are really bad too, which I don't really remember, but you put in celery and something else, but you put enough of that stuff down and it doesn't really get ground up enough. And it's just gonna clog up in the pipe.
And now you know, everybody. Now you know, so you have no excuse. And
that's
Jack,
right.
Let's be honest. The disposal is where you put all the books that you pour root beer on, isn't it? You shove them in after with a broomstick, and you're just like grinding it up. That's what really happened.
Yeah, so it was just a clogged drain, and he just pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, so then it had dropped down into the sewer.
All right, so Crazy Jane said, I would release Batman Contagion and Legacy as an Omni. So that could be an Omni that comes before the No Man's Land stuff. So that could be something else that DC could do.
Oh wait, where'd she say that? Let me put it up.
It was a little bit farther up. I'm a little bit behind. You just scroll up a little bit to Crazy Jane.
Oh, all right.
So that would be another Omni to put before No Man's Land. That would probably be not too big of an Omni, I wouldn't think. Probably decent size. But yeah, these No Man's Land Omnis, they'd probably be $125 each.
Oh wow!
Because they're so big. Especially the first one would be huge. Because I'm jamming in 3 trade paperbacks into it, so that'd be a lot of stuff. All right, so do you want to move on to our next choice in the poll?
Sure. What is it?
All right, number 4 with 21 votes is the Batman Adventure books. So
I do not have those.
So I am very sad to say I do not own them currently, but I read most of them as a kid. So I do remember them with fondness, and I feel very guilty on having those on my shelf because I love Batman the animated series so much. And these books are set in the same continuity, the same universe as Batman the animated series. They're almost treated as like lost episodes of Batman the animated series. And they're great.
Books are?
Yeah, they're drawn in the same style as Batman animated series. And so they're fantastic. I mean, they're for kids and adults, which, I mean, there should be comics like that. So they're not maybe the most mature Batman stories of all time, but they're very excellent, and they're very much like the TV show. So if you love the TV show out there, I would recommend getting those books. And I'm going to rectify this failure on my part very soon by ordering all of these books. Because I don't think they're going to come out with Omnis and OHCs anytime soon. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would love it if they did that. You would think they would have done it when the Blu-ray came out last year. So if they didn't do it then, I don't know if they're ever going to do it. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people, myself included, would love to have these books in OHC or Omnis.
Let me write that down for when I take over.
All right, sounds good.
Collected editions department.
I don't know, Jess. That'd be great. Let's not give up hope. We should write a petition to DC or something. We should all stand outside their office with picket signs and.
Maybe if they're represented at Baltimore Comic-Con, I can mention it to them.
There you go. Go up to them and say, I want to be hired as the president of Collected Editions. All right, call security. Get this guy out of here. But anyway, there's 2 different ways I can see this being collected. And what I would like more is the first option, and that would be 4 deluxe hardcovers. Because I like deluxes better.
Sure.
I think you do as well, right?
I do, yeah.
I love the Rebirth deluxe.
That's my preferred format.
And like we said 2 weeks ago, we're sad that it looks like it's going to be going away pretty soon. But I would love to have that collected in that way. So here's what it would look like. There's 2 different series, first of all. There's the Batman Adventures, and then there's Batman and Robin Adventures. So there's kind of 2 different series that are very similar, though, and have a lot of the same creators. So the first deluxe would be the Batman Adventures 1 through 20. The second deluxe would be the Batman Adventures 21 through 36. The Batman Adventures Holiday Special number 1, and the Batman Adventures Annuals 1 and 2. The Volume 3, not Volume 3, Batman and Robin Adventures Deluxe Book 1. This would be a new series that's collected and deluxe as well. So Batman and Robin Adventures Book 1 would be Batman and Robin Adventures 1 through 13. And then the second book for that deluxe line would be Batman and Robin Adventures 14 through 25 and Annuals 1 and 2. So that would be my preferred format, is 4 deluxes. But they could also do 2 Omnis. 1 Omni for Batman Adventures and another Omni for Batman and Robin Adventures.
Okay.
So, you know what? I would love that.
That just reminded me that something I meant to put on the list is Batman and Robin Eternal.
Oh, I think someone posted that.
Oh, they did?
Earlier. I can't remember. It was way down the line, though.
I really want an omnibus of that because that was better than Batman Eternal. I liked Batman Eternal, but I love Batman and Robin Eternal.
Okay. I haven't read either of them because they were so huge.
Sorry?
I haven't read either of them because they were so huge. I didn't hear a lot of great things about Eternal, but you're saying Batman and Robin Eternal is better.
Yeah. I liked Batman Eternal, but I loved Batman and Robin Eternal.
I read the first couple issues of Eternal where it was like Gordon was falsely accused of murder or murdering all those people on a train.
I can't even remember. That
That's all I remember about it. It seems like people are very hot or cold about Eternal. Either they really like it or they don't like it at all.
Yeah. It came out weekly, and I think it was hard for Snyder to come up with a weekly book that was.
Well, he didn't write most of it. It was,
Oh, he didn't?
it was written by a bunch of writers. He was just, I don't think he did very much on it, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I think there was like a bunch of different authors like doing kind of like a group think tank, kind of like
Oh, that's probably why it wasn't that great.
What was the story that was written by like Morrison and Wade and Jeff Johns? It was a 52 that came out weekly.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like 52 where it came out weekly and had a bunch of different writers on it.
Oh, okay. Well, Batman and Robin Eternal is better, and that needs an Omni. So I'm putting my vote out there into the atmosphere for DC to hear it. Make me my Batman and Robin Eternal Omni.
And Sergio agrees with you. He says, agreed, B&R Eternal is better. And I think you're going to get your wish because the Batman Eternal Omnibus is coming out this September. So if that does well, I'm sure they'll make another one for Batman and Robin.
I will get that. I am going to be getting the Superman and Batman Absolute. I can't wait for that. Do
you know when that one comes out?
I think September.
Oh, okay. There's so much good Batman stuff coming out in September. I'm really excited
I think so too.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about in terms of books coming up soon. So that's gonna be good for our show. And Jess is trying to work his way through Batman the animated series, and we'll hopefully be able to review that sometime later this year.
I got to do that, and I got to read Morrison Batman and Metal.
Right. So Batman, I gave Jess a lot of Batman homework.
I do have a lot of Batman.
But it's all good stuff, though.
Yeah,
it's not like all the Metal stuff, but I liked Metal. I didn't love it, but it's all good stuff mainly.
Well, I want to read it so I can read what DC's putting out now because it's all tied into Metal.
Right. That's very true.
A lot of it is.
Yeah, before you pick up Scott Snyder's new deluxe edition of Justice League in December, you'll have to read that stuff.
Right.
To fully understand it. I'm somewhat confused about the fifth choice that people had, and I don't think it's really going to work out. It's a Darwin Cook omnibus.
Well, we just said Darwin Cook omnibus. We didn't really say what would be in it.
I'm kind of I was kind of confused about that. Maybe that was a mistake on my part because
I think we probably should have been more specific.
Yeah, that was probably I think we might have ripped that away from the Ed Brubaker Catwoman stuff because Darwin Cook did a lot of stuff because Batman Ego pretty much collects all the stuff that he did.
Right.
So that one we'll skip right past that one because I think it's already been collected in an oversized format with Batman Ego and other tales. And number 6 with 11 votes, which we've already talked about, is the Hush Omnibus. As we all know, is recently canceled a couple months ago, I think. And I doubt that's probably going to come back. What do you think?
I don't know. That was such an odd cancellation that I can't pretend to know how their collected editions department works because it doesn't seem to work on logic necessarily.
Right.
So I don't know why it was canceled.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of Hush. I like Heart of Hush a lot more, and I'm hoping that they'll put their energy into those Dini omnibuses instead. Because I think at least I want that a lot more.
I'll start an Instagram campaign on and hashtag DC on it about those Dini books.
Well, I think someone like on Marvel got some of Omar's videos and we're watching them. If someone at DC has started watching some of our videos here and on your channel, like I think they would just really just learn a lot, and a lot of things would change if they finally listen to the fans. Listen to the fans for what.
Yeah.
I'm not saying listen to the fans in terms of all the books you want them to write, because artists need to be artists, writers need to be writers. They need to tell their stories. I'm not talking about us dictating what is written and what is drawn. I'm saying we can dictate what is sold to us in collected edition.
We can tell them what we like to see and what we will buy.
Right.
We're the money. We're the money.
Who's buying that Rebirth omnibus with all the first issues of every Rebirth series? Who's buying that? Like, come on. Like, who wants that?
Here's what I'm going to say to them. I represent the money. You want to get to me. You want as much of me as possible, right? Let me tell you how to get me. That's what the key is. Here's the key to getting more of me. I will help you. That's what I could tell DC.
If people tuned in just now, it's probably kind of weird. Here's how you get me.
I represent money. Here's how you get more fan money.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, DC doesn't look like they're doing isn't making a lot of good decisions going forward, but we'll see. Number 7 with 10 votes is Batman Bronze Age Omnis.
That is great, and I hope it happens soon, but unfortunately, I think we're going to have to work our way through the Silver Age.
Do you know how many more Silver Age Omnis you think would be left? Do you have any idea off the top of your head?
Holy guacamole. I think we've got one more Golden Age left. So the Golden Age.
So the Golden Age is what you want to stop buying, right?
What I personally want to?
Yeah, because didn't you buy it by accident or something?
No, I started out on purpose, and then I kept buying a couple by accident. But once Silver Age kicks in, I'm buying all of that.
Right, because you're the Silver Age guy.
Yeah, and I believe that encompasses about 55 through 70.
Okay.
So that's 15 years worth. And then we hit the Bronze Age.
Okay.
So the Golden Age was 38 through 55. What's that? 17 years worth?
I'm bad at math.
I'm bad at math too. I think 38, 48. I think that's 17 years. So we're looking at probably 6 Silver Age books.
Okay. And then we'll get the Bronze Age books in after that, hopefully. But the thing I learned is I'm very much an amateur when it comes to the Bronze Age, so I had no idea where to start. And so I tapped into Chris Hansen on the group, and man, that guy is super knowledgeable.
Oh, he knows the Bronze Age.
He wrote me like a collegiate level publishable dissertation about the Bronze Age. And I think he sent it to you too, didn't he?
Yeah.
He texted you. I was like, it was like 10 o'clock at 10:30 at night. And I was like trying to read through this, and I'm like, I think it was at midnight. I was like, I can't believe he wrote all this out. I think he spent a lot of time on it. And so pretty much what I learned is that the start of the Bronze Age is kind of subjective. And it's kind of hard to pin down. Because
actually, I'll take my word for it.
Okay.
The Bronze Age started with Conan #1 and Green Lantern, Green Arrow 76.
Okay.
Just accept it.
All right. Can you hear my dog barking?
Barely.
All right, good.
Not enough to be annoying at all.
Oh, that's good. All right. So what I learned is that it can be kind of subjective. Like it's kind of people's opinions to some degree.
That is true.
And so I think Chris was just saying there's so many different entry points. It's really hard for me to tell you exactly where to start.
Right.
But I think we'll be fine with this just because they're going to do it eventually because they're going through the Gold Age and they'll do the Silver Age and we'll eventually get to the Bronze Age. So I think they're going to do it eventually. It will just probably be a long time.
I'm guessing the Golden Age took about 2 years to get through, right?
Well, I never got any of them or really kept up with them. So
this is 2019. I think that line started in 2017. They've done a good job of continually pumping them out. So 2021, we should be done with, I think there's one more book in Superman and in Batman for the Golden Age. So that means what year? Okay, so 2020, we will see the beginning of the Silver Age. I'm sorry. We'll see the beginning of the Silver Age. That'll take 2 years, which takes us into 2022 will be the end of the Silver Age. So 2023, we should see the beginning of the Bronze Age, which is important because
we'll get the Neal Adams original colors.
Exactly. And unre-inked with the original inking, not with his monkeying around with his own stuff when he clearly doesn't have it anymore and making it look weird.
Yeah, even the new stuff he does, like the drawing he did for Batman 50, some of the stuff he's done for annuals, it's just
no,
it's not what it used to be.
No,
it's a far cry from Batman fighting Ra's al Ghul in the desert without a shirt on. Like that was
totally
that was peak Neal Adams.
Was.
I mean, art was one of those things that you drop off of after a certain point. It's a perishable skill. It doesn't. I think it does get better with age to some degree, and then it gets worse with age. It's almost like it gets better with age, and then it gets worse with age.
I think somebody like Picasso, to throw a big name out there, he evolved and changed his style and went different, and so that he was able to paint into his 80s. But when you get really fine illustrative art like Neal Adams has to do and you get older, I think it becomes really hard to maintain, and exactly what you're saying, maintain what you were able to do 50 years ago. And I don't think they did him any favors letting him re-ink and recolor those things. I'm a broken record on this. It's my most popular video on my channel, and I don't even have any hashtags on it. It was before I knew you could do hashtags. It's one of the first videos I ever did. But yeah, you will see it as it was originally meant to be in those Bronze Age Omnis. And the only reason I say that's important is because you'll see what a difference, because it'll be the original kind of blocky drawn Batman, and then boom, all of a sudden there's Neal Adams Batman. It'll be a great comparison. You can see how fresh and breathtaking Neal Adams Batman is right there with the original colors and original inks right there in that bronze Omni. And you'll just go, oh, that's what the big deal was.
Right. Can you highlight Sergio's recent comment about Batman Odyssey? That's a funny comment. A hard case against freedom of speech with his Hollow Earth theories. I don't see how an intelligent, respected man could believe that the Earth is hollow.
I can't even.
Isn't he like one of the most expensive people to get a signature from?
I don't think he's the most expensive, but he will charge you for everything. Okay. Like if you want a selfie with him now, he'll charge you for a selfie.
He'll charge you per word you talk to him. That was a $50 conversation.
I don't think he charges you to talk to him, but if you want a picture from him, he'll charge you. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll absolutely charge you for everything that has to do with him. I actually don't begrudge him for that. He worked in the industry at a time when he didn't get very much money. His own self-published stuff, he never finished any of it, so he probably never saw very much money.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge what an artist charges at all, or a writer charges. Now, if it's somebody from Image that's made boodles of money off their own, books, then that's a different story. But yeah, no, I'm not going to pay it, but I don't blame him for charging it.
Right.
But I will say, if he's still around when that Bronze Age Omni comes out and it's the original colors and original inks, I'll pay for his signature in that. Because
they released trade paperbacks recently of his Batman stuff, but it's still the recolored editions, right?
Yep. And the re-inking is the big deal to me, because he went in and re-inked over the original inking and made it look worse.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of like the Star Wars special editions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's pretty on par with that. Like, people loathe some of the choices made in those. There's some good choices, but a lot of them are dumb. It sounds like it's the same thing with this recoloring.
Yeah.
It's a creator going back to his original creation, which everybody loves, and messing it up for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think art should be of its time.
Yeah.
Let that be of its time. Like, we need to look back at that work and say, this is what was going on in that time. I don't want to see a rehash of what you did in that time. You're ruining like the time capsule of Batman in that time by doing that.
I could not agree more. You want to do new Batman? Fine. Do Batman Odyssey. Let it stand on its own. But don't go back and monkey with the stuff from 1968 and
Right.
1970. Let that stand on its own. It was powerful enough back then that it changed the industry.
If anything, just restore it enough that it looks better in like a glossy pages or something. Or like for like the Batman 66 show, like they restored that for Blu-ray, but they try to capture what was so great about that series back then. And that's what they should be doing, in my opinion.
Yeah. But no, making it garish colors with letting him go in and monkey around with the drawings, just an abomination.
And it's upsetting to me because I haven't read a lot of Neal Adams and Denny O'Neil's stuff because of that. Because I don't want to read this recoloring. I want to read the originals.
Yeah.
So I'm missing out by not being able to read the originals.
In Brave and Bold, the first volume of Brave and Bold, and in some of the Joker Bronze Age, there are some original. No, wait, there could be in. Yeah, I think in Joker Bronze Age and in Brave and Bold, there are some unrestored Neal Adams Batman stories.
Whoa, you just got a $10 super chat from Babylon.
I did? I didn't even know I could get super chat.
Has never happened before on this show.
Wow. I didn't even know I could get super chat. Thank you.
Wow.
$10 from Babylon Shadows. My first super chat. Curse you, Jess. Uh-oh. I went to bed at 3 a.m. yesterday because you made that video on book apps, and I just had to scan and catalog all my collection. I didn't even finish. Babylon Shadows, thank you so much for the super chat. I was not aware that I had enabled it or that I was even allowed to do it.
that $10 will go to our big thing of trying to push you as the DC collected edition. So that'll be the first $10 we put in this endeavor. We'll create signs. We'll create a website. We'll get this going.
Babylon Shadows, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That's great.
I really appreciate it. Let's see. There's actually people talking about. Let's see. Sam Cluxon has something about all artists have limitations, but when they're at the peak of all their careers, they almost seem to transcend those limitations. As they get older, the worst aspects of their art show out more, and they become parodies of themselves. I'm afraid that's what's happened.
Yeah, it's true. Unfortunately. All right, so number 8 with 9 votes is Batgirl by Gail Simone Omnibus. And do you have this? You don't have the Simone stuff, do you?
I don't. I need it, but I don't have it.
But you love Gail Simone, from what I've heard.
do. Yeah, I do.
You'd probably be excited if there was an omnibus released.
Oh, I'd definitely buy that omnibus.
So here's what would be collected. This would be Batgirl number 1 through 34, and this is New 52 stuff. So it's Batgirl 1 through 34, Batgirl Annual number 1 and 2.
Oh, wait a sec.
And Batgirl Futures End number 1. And Jess is going to work his way over to see if he has this book.
Batgirl. I feel like that's weird. I feel like I did have Batgirl. Now I'm looking. I apologize for the unprofessional off-camera looking for Batgirl. That's weird. Oh yeah, I do have it.
Oh, cool.
I have four volumes. I thought once you said New 52, then all of a sudden I realized.
This is the big difference between our collections, Jess. I could never forget anything that I have. My collection's not big enough for that.
I'm crazy.
You're like Marcus in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He gets lost in his own museum. Or the Last Crusade it was, actually.
Okay. Gail Simone's Batgirl.
Oh, it's still in the wrapping.
Still in the wrapping because I haven't got to it yet. First 2 are still in the wrapping. But these 2 I can show. These are not in the wrapping, so I can show artwork from them. Okay, so how are you going to map them out?
All right, so
there's some good art in this. Who's the artist? Ardian Sayaf. I don't know that person. This is volume 2.
Yeah, I've never read this stuff, so I can't comment too much on the art, but it would be Batgirl number 1 through 34, Batgirl Annual number 1 and 2, and Batgirl Futures End number 1.
Futures End. Ugh.
Well, I just collected all the stuff that are collected in those 4 volumes.
Yeah.
The one omnibus. So yeah, I've heard Future. I never read any of Future's End, but I haven't heard too many good things about it.
Oh boy. I am so glad you said New 52. That set off a memory bubble. I thought
the art looks pretty good.
Yeah, the art is really good.
It really pops. The colors are interesting.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you get to it, let me know.
Get to what?
Whenever you get around to reading it someday, let me know if you like it.
I will get to reading it before Bronze Age Batman comes out.
All right, so in 5 years, we'll check back in.
No, I'll get to it sooner because I have wanted to be doing a Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain read through too, so I might as well do a Barbara Gordon one also.
All right, ETL just said, how do they make Barbara Gordon walk again in those books? Well, you have to remember that the New 52 is a complete reboot, so that's why she's able to walk again.
Also, comic books.
Right, and until Rebirth, and they kind of went back and said, no, that old continuity is still continuity. But back then, they were trying to reboot the entire line, so everything was different.
Yeah, the art is really nice in this.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to give it a chance sometime. Well, whenever you do get to it sometime in the future, let me know. It looks like it'd be good.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of excited for it. Okay.
I know you're a big Gail Simone fan, so you'll probably like it.
Yeah.
All right, so next is Batwoman Omnibus by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III. And Jess has a special surprise for us.
This is what it would look like.
And so, Jess, you mapped this out yourself and got it custom bound, right?
I did, yeah. This was done a couple of years ago. It is collecting Greg Rucka's complete 2009-2010 Detective Comics run, issues 854 through 863. I just had the single issues hanging around, and I had Elegy Deluxe already, but I had the single issues hanging around, and I thought, let's just do the whole thing. And it's since it's comic book size, it's not oversized hardcover. They're the comic books, so there are going to be ads in it, but it's hardbound, and you call it an omnibus since it's a complete collection. And this is what it would look like as far as mapping it out.
Blue G says that book is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Blue G.
And so, do you have the New 52 stuff in there as well?
Well, I don't know which. I have 854 through 863. What of that was New 52?
New 52 is Batwoman 1 through 24 of New 52. That was whenever J.H. Williams was on the book after Rucka was gone.
Oh no, this is just Rucka.
Okay, got it.
I have the trade paper or hardcovers of J.H. Williams' run.
And from what I've heard, it started out really strong, but it didn't really get to end.
It did not get to end because he had he wanted the characters to get married, and DC had a no marriage policy for heterosexuals and same-sex couples, just no marriage at all. And so J.H. Williams just left the book and said, I want him to get married. And DC said no. And he said, okay, I'm leaving the book. And so it just dropped off. And it was a great book. And Mark Andreyko took over after that. And it was not nearly as good.
I really enjoyed this run by Greg Rucka. I just read it recently on Hoopla, and the art is unbelievable. Some of the double-page spreads that J.H. Williams does are so good because it's not just like just one image. It's like a bunch of different images telling a story and really moving a scene forward. Because one thing I kind of can ignore, something that can kind of annoy me is with double-page spreads, just one single issue that doesn't move the storyline forward. Whereas J.H. Williams always tells like a really complex scene just through 2 pages. And he's just really singular in his ability to do that. He's really good. And I really liked Kate Kane as a character.
Oh, yeah.
She really played a big part in James Tinian's run on Detective.
Right.
She was pretty much the main character of that run.
That's more of a Batwoman run than a Batman run.
Yeah, this is important to know that this Rucka run was in Detective Comics. So Batwoman kind of took over Detective for 9 or 10 issues, which is pretty cool. And I really liked the storyline with him and J.H. Williams more than the 3 issues with Jock. I didn't love that Jock storyline, to be honest, which bums me out because Jock's one of my favorite artists. I thought his art was great as usual. I thought the storyline was kind of subpar, and it wasn't very cohesive, and it was kind of confusing. But I thought that initial storyline with Rucka and J.H. Williams was 10 out of 10. It was so good.
Yeah.
I greatly enjoyed it. Seeing her background of being in the military and getting kicked out, seeing her struggle with who she is and see her struggle with who she needs to become. It was a very good character study of her and her family as well. I don't want to go into spoilers, but it really goes into her family and how her family was affected by the violence visited upon them years ago.
Right. Yeah. It was very realistic and made a lot of it gave a lot of substance to her.
Right. His art is just really sublime. It's great. So that was number 9 with 9 votes. All right, the number 10. Do you just want to kind of finish up with number 10, and then I can just read off the rest of them? That way we're not going to be here too long.
Is that the book I have?
Yes.
Okay. I've only got 1 volume. I don't even know how many volumes it went.
There's also the New 52 stuff that J.H. Williams did. I think that could probably be included in an omnibus too.
Oh, I wish it had a proper ending.
Yeah, it's too bad. I really do want to give it a try though eventually. So number 10 is Batman Under the Red Hood Deluxe Edition.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Batgirl of Burnside.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll cover that.
No, we don't need to. We can finish on this.
I at least want to finish the list out. We don't have to go into detail about all of them. We can just kind of go into these books. So people want a deluxe edition of this, even though right now there is a thick trade of this book. I really do like this story.
That's Judd Winnick?
It's Judd Winnick, and most of it's done by Doug Mahnke, who is currently doing Detective Comics with Peter Tomasi. And I really do enjoy this storyline. I think the art is overall, it's solid. But the one thing that kind of frustrates me is that the most important issue is the closing issue, and I don't like the art on it at all. Like, I wish Doug Mahnke had stayed through to this last issue and drawn it out. It's whenever Jason Todd and Batman go head to head, and I just think it really.
Oh, I remember this. Like, I remember reading it in singles.
Like, don't you think the art kind of let you down a little bit at the end? The Joker just looked really weird. Like,
yeah,
it was still a good script. It was still a great story. I just thought that the art really took a nosedive in the last issue.
Yeah, that Joker looks weird there.
And compared to Doug Mahnke has gotten a lot better over the years, but he is just a really good artist. I mean, look how much better these pages are by Doug Mahnke.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for us to review that first volume of Doug Mahnke and Peter Tomasi's new Detective run when it comes out in September.
Oh, right.
I haven't read it yet. I've heard great things though, because they incorporate Arkham Knight from the Arkham Knight video game. But it's the person behind the mask is different from what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really excited to review that next month or in October. I can't remember when we're going to review it, but we will review it very soon. I actually like the animated movie better than the actual comic. Have you ever watched this, Jess?
I have not.
It's really good. Guess what? It has a Jonah Hex short.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so you should definitely get it.
Oh, cool.
I think a lot of people agree that this is one of the best DC animated movies, and I think it's better than the book in some ways because it's more streamlined and it's more cohesive. Some of the stuff that wasn't really important to the storyline was taken out, and it was really solidly animated and had great voice acting.
Yeah, I've heard that about a lot of DC animated movies. Is the voice acting is fantastic.
Have you watched the DC animated movies of Dark Knight Returns?
No.
Oh, Jess, you have to watch that. It's unbelievably good. they released it in 2 parts, and so it's a 2.5 hour long animated movie.
Dude, I gotta read comic books for a living. I don't have time to watch movies.
But it's Peter Weller from RoboCop as Batman.
Oh, that's cool.
And do you ever watch Lost?
No.
Oh, never mind.
I might know
one of the characters, Benjamin Linus, was the Joker, and he was so creepy in that.
Oh.
But it was a really solid rendition of Dark Knight Returns, and it's really, really good.
Huh.
Like the
Is
scenes
it drawn in the Frank Miller style?
Somewhat, but it's really solidly animated. Like I had no complaints about it. Sometimes DC's animation can be hit or miss for me. That was a big hit. I really enjoyed that. I think Under the Red Hood and The Dark Knight Returns are the best DC animated movies besides Mask of the Phantasm. Those 3 are the top 3. I really enjoy those. So I think people really want this in an oversized format, though. So people would love a deluxe version of this. So that would be Batman 635 to 641, 645 to 650, and Batman Annual number 25. So that would be Batman Under the Red Hood. And what was your opinion of the book, Jess? What do you think about it?
I remember liking it.
You only read it once then?
I read it back in floppies when I was collecting floppies whenever it came out. So yeah, I remember liking it.
I don't want to get too much into the spoilers, but I think everyone pretty much knows who the Red Hood is, right? I mean,
I would think so.
Okay, so it's Jason Todd.
Yeah.
And one thing that really bugged me about Hush is remember Clayface was impersonating Jason Todd?
Yeah.
And they slip in that, oh yeah, for a little bit, Jason Todd came in and did fight Batman. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like the way they reintroduced Jason Todd was kind of confusing because they kind of try to play him into the Hush stuff too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why the Red Hood movie is almost better because it has a more clean entry for Jason Todd to come in.
Okay.
Because comics can be so confusing sometimes, and it's frustrating.
Sometimes.
Okay, most of the time, with DC and Marvel at least, because there's so much history, so much backstory. It was kind of confusing, and it was kind of a lot of leaps in logic and plot holes. So that movie kind of is the best representation of the book, I believe. Yeah. So I would give it a chance if I were you. I know you have DC Universe.
Not yet, but I'm making the decision soon to probably get it.
So if you ever do get it, you could probably check that movie out whenever you have it.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because I made the decision that I'm going to get it because I got to see the new Harley Quinn movie.
Okay.
Or cartoon show. It's not a cartoon show. It's a movie, right? Where she comes out and she's all calling everybody dickhead and everything.
I'm pretty sure it's a TV show.
Oh, it's a TV show? Okay, whichever. I'm watching it.
I don't have DC Universe because I think it's going to be canceled soon, but that's just me. I think
Doom Patrol's already got a second season, so
I just think AT&T is really going to ruin it.
Oh, I don't have any doubt.
The whole thing with Swamp Thing, with they lost $40 million because of a tax rebate or something.
That's a lie.
Whatever. They're going to drive it into the ground. I think eventually it'll be folded into like an overall Warner Brothers app.
That is what I'm afraid of.
But the whole Disney Plus is going to destroy every other streaming service. Do you see all the stuff coming out?
I am getting that day one.
Did you watch the new Mandalorian trailer?
I did, and I can't wait.
Sorry to get away from Batman. I'm just saying that DC's Universe's app I think it's going to be folded into Warner Brothers eventually, and that'll just get trounced by Disney Plus. Everything's going to get trounced by Disney Plus because my wife and I learned that we can have Hulu and Disney Plus for pretty much the same price we pay for Hulu now.
Yeah.
So it's just, you can't beat that.
No.
It's going to have a lot of great stuff on it. But I would love to see more Batman-centric stuff on DC Universe because I don't like the Titans TV show at all. I tried to get into it. I had a free week trial, and I couldn't get into Titans. And the way they presented Batman and Robin, I just really didn't appreciate. But I would love to see a Batman-centric TV show someday.
Yeah.
Well, let me just go through our last couple choices very quickly.
Okay.
Number 11 was Atlantis Attacks, which I'm sure.
Oh, Brendan Donnelly put that up as a joke.
And that got 5 votes, so I had to mention it. There's the Legends of the Dark Knight Omnis. And so this is 214 issues. I wasn't going to punish myself by doing that.
Good.
I was messaging Jess this week, and I just said, what should I do? And he's like, dude, this should be fun. It shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't make you stressed out. Just do whatever you want to do. So I just mapped out the first Omni, which I think is going to be the most popular one anyway because it has the most famous storylines. So that'd be Legends of the Dark Knight, Volume 1, and Omni. That would collect issues 1 through 36. So that would be Shaman by Denny O'Neil. That would be Gothic by Grant Morrison. That'd be Prey. That'd be Venom, Faith, Flyer, Destroyer, Faces, Family, Blades, and Destiny. So I think the most popular out of all those would probably be Gothic, Prey, and Venom.
Yeah.
So I think that first Omni would contain a lot of the issues that people really want to read.
Right.
So,
Prey's, I know Prey's out of print, right?
Yes, I think so. So I think it'd almost be better even if they just kind of had the greatest hits of Legends of the Dark Knight instead of having a whole Omni series.
Yeah.
I just think they'd probably make more money off of that.
Okay.
I think more people would be interested. But I think that first Omni would have a lot of the biggest storylines and it'd probably be the biggest money maker. I think a lot of people would want it.
Right.
That's my opinion on that. And then the next one, we can end on this one because we already talked about the Neal Adams stuff. There's the Batgirl of Burnside Omnibus.
Now, I don't even know how many volumes there are of this. I meant to keep collecting this, and then I stopped because I thought there was going to be an Omni. And now, of course, there's not an Omni, or is there going to be an Omni? I don't know.
Did they solicit one?
They solicited one, and it got canceled.
Oh, did that happen with like Hush and everything else?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I know that Geo and Gabe really hyped this book up a lot.
Gabe loves this book.
And so that would collect, this omnibus would collect Batgirl 35 to 52, Secret Origins number 10, DC Sneak Peek Batgirl number 1, Batgirl Annual number 3. So I think this is the tail end of New 52, I believe.
Yeah.
So this pretty much collect the ending part of New 52.
Okay, so I need to get probably volumes 2 and 3 because I'm fine with these hardcovers. I don't need to wait for an omnibus.
Right. But I think a lot of people would buy that if it came out.
I think so too.
That one only got 4 votes, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it and say they want it.
Yeah, she was popular. It was a nice change of pace.
Right. And the closing one I want to mention as my own personal write-in, because I really, really want this. This is my selfish choice. I want an OHC deluxe edition of just the Dark Knight Returns without the train wreck that is Dark Knight Strikes Again. Because right now, there's no way to collect it in hardcover without Dark Knight Strikes Again, which I do not want in my collection. Because you have that old leather-bound hardcover of it, but they don't sell that anymore.
Right.
So I can't get that. I'm not going to buy that deluxe edition or that absolute that will come out because I don't want Strikes Again in my house because it bothers me. I just don't. If you want to hear my thoughts on that video, on that book, go back to our video about Frank Miller. Me and Jess really go into detail about why Strikes Again is an abomination. But I just want it in OHC form, oversized. I want that art oversized because all I have right now is a trade paperback, which is fine, but it's one of my favorite comics of all time. I want that oversized artwork.
What were the top 2 vote getters again? It was
Dini, the Paul Dini stuff, and Catwoman Omnibus by Ed Brubaker.
Catwoman, right? Okay.
So those are the ones. So DC, if you're watching this, those are the 2 books that we all want. So if you like money, make these books as soon as possible.
We want to give you our money.
Yes. I want to give you my money for things that I want, not things that I don't want.
Yeah. We're not just going to come up and throw our money at you. We want to buy your stuff.
And if you're really smart, hire this guy.
Right.
Hire this guy.
Me.
Not me. Hire this guy.
I'll help you out.
Yes. Well, that's all I have from the poll.
Well, Taylor, thank you so much. I know you put a ton of effort into this. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of work. I know it was a labor of love, but it was still work. So I really
worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for a lot of people to hear the books that we all want.
Yeah.
And maybe one day this will get into DC's hands and they'll watch it. And also, guys, don't forget the challenge to find that video of Jeff those years ago on the interview about Death of Superman. If you find it, there will be a reward of some sort from me.
A package of red Twizzlers. So this was Baturdays in the Batcave, a fun edition of it. And we appreciate everybody in the chat. The chat was great. We appreciate all our viewers. And thank you for tuning in to OmniDog's Vault, to Baturdays in the Batcave. Every other week, every other Saturday, we have this live or pre-recorded. I think maybe the next couple of shows may be pre-recorded due to...
Yes, just to warn everybody, the next couple of videos will be pre-recorded just because of our busy schedules. So the next 2 weeks from now, we will do that video about ranking the Batman movies. We pushed that back because we wanted this to be a live show.
Yeah.
It's more conducive to a live show. So from 2 weeks from now, we'll be doing the Batman rankings, and it'll be pre-recorded. So Jess will post it at the same time, but it'll be in 2 weeks from now. So you'll be seeing some more pre-recorded videos because Jess will be gone on an anniversary soon. I have a baby coming very soon. So we're always going to be putting content out every 2 weeks, but it won't always be live, just to give you a warning. We're going to do live whenever it's possible for our schedules.
Right. So please hit the like button. Please feel free to subscribe, leave a comment. We always respond to comments. And this was DC's most sought after collected editions episode. And we appreciate you watching it. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate your help.
That was great. Thanks, Jess.
Baturdays in the Batcave. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, chatters. You guys are great.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Oh, peace and love. Peace and love. Almost didn't say it.